Look, we need to talk about the fastest man alive because live action Flash has had a wild ride. On one hand, we had Grant Gustin practically running a marathon for a decade on TV, carrying a part of an entire universe on his back with massive heart. On the other hand, we got Ezra Miller on the big screen, leaning so hard into that awkward, hyperactive comedy relief that I'm pretty sure Barry Allen forgot that he was a core member of the Justice League and not just a walking punchline. But enough looking backwards, the past is the past. James Gunn, I am speaking directly to you right now. Put down that coffee, pause the Superman editing bay, and look at your screen. Because if you want this character to completely thrive in your new DCU, you don't need to give us another rebooted origin story. At least not the one you're thinking. What I'm saying is we don't need to watch a particle accelerator explode. And we definitely don't need to see another freak bolt of lightning strike a rack of chemicals. Some audiences are getting origin fatigue. What you need is legacy. Now I know some of you already in the comments typing out, "Oh Peter, you're crazy. You can't just skip the origin story on a film." Look, listen here, all right? If you think that my math is off, or you think what I'm about to lay out just straight up wouldn't work in a movie theater, prove me wrong. Hit the comments right now and tell me why. But if you're fair enough and you actually listen through to what I gotta say today, you won't be able to. I'm laying out the definitive blueprint on how you introduce the Flash into a pre-established DCU with an epic movie trilogy. And yes, I said trilogy. Let's start with movie 1, The Shadow of the Suit. We kick off movie 1 by dropping the audience directly into a massive, unvarnished emotional stake. We don't get a huge crisis on scene. Instead, we open up in a quiet living room with Iris West Allen and a young adult Wally West, somewhere between 17 and 19 years old at the time. That's right, you heard me. I said Wally. There's a knock at the door, and it's an established character, maybe Jon Stewart. This is smart for the world building bridge from the Lantern series into the Flash mythos, but it could be another person. You let me know who it should be. But for now, John looks at Iris and says, "I'm so sorry, Barry is gone. He sacrificed himself to save us all." Now right there for us, the audio goes completely muffled and distant to show the sheer shock of the moment. The camera slowly pins over to Wally. He's sitting there in his regular clothes, but we can see the literal sparks of lightning in his eyes as he sits there crying, looking at an old, worn out, empty Flash cowl. Then we smash cut to 1 year later. I know, great, another time jump. Just stick with the story, please. Wally is there operating as Kid Flash, but he's outgrowing it, and it shows. He's a grown man running around in a sidekick's uniform. The citizens of Central City are literally calling him out on the streets like, "Dude, you're an adult. Why are you still running around like Kid Flash?" Seeing him struggle, Iris herself steps in with the ultimate emotional push. She tells him straight out, "Barry didn't just train you to be his sidekick. He believed in you to carry this forward. Put on the suit. It's what he would want you to do." Reluctantly, he does. He puts on Barry's actual physical costume, and the second he steps out as the new Flash, the imposter syndrome hits him like a freight train. He's still Wally. He's still trying to keep that lighthearted attitude, cracking jokes, trying to be the comedic icebreaker, but the crushing reality sets in. There's no mentor in his ear anymore. There's no veteran hero telling him, "Hey kid, watch out for this," or "Get ready for that." Wally realizes he isn't just steering the ship, he is the only person on it. To make matters worse, we bring in a heavy hitter rogue from Barry's classic gallery. Someone tactical like Captain Cold, or a psychological threat who knew the real Flash inside and out, like DeVoe. Every single time Wally trips or misses a beat, this villain completely weaponizes his insecurity, mocking him on the battlefield. "You're just a kid playing dress up. You're not the real Flash." And internally, Wally believes it. The entire emotional arc from the first movie is practically Wally discovering how to break out of Barry's shadow. He has a massive heart-to-heart epiphany where he realizes that trying to copy Barry's exact style is why he's failing. He doesn't need to be second-rate Barry Allen, he needs to be his own Flash. By the climax of this movie, Barry's old suit gets heavily damaged in a fight. Wally repairs it, but he modifies it into his own costume. Semi-different design, deepening the red tones and shifting the lightning accents. It's an evolution, showing the world that a new protector has truly arrived. But to get Wally to that life-changing epiphany, who does he have that heart-to-heart with? Does he break down in front of Iris? Do we bring in a veteran speedster mentor from the comics like Jay Garrick to give him that golden advice? James Gunn, I'll let you tell me that one, because how we answer that question kind of sets up a perfect transition for the next phase in this journey. Now, movie 2, the Prime prequel. We hit the ultimate structural twist of the franchise. With movie 2, we don't press forward. Not exactly. We actually drop a massive prequel that takes us back in time to experience a prime Barry Allen in his absolute glory. And yes, I am completely sticking to my guns here. Guns. I'm sorry. James Gunn, you need Grant Gustin as your DCU Barry Allen. You just do. He's not going to stick around for the whole thing. It's not going to be Barry Allen's Justice League. This is going to be Wally West's. But for this movie, for the love of the canon, and just give the fans something finally that we've been begging for. But that's enough of my crying. Anyways, it delivers exactly what the fans have been begging to see for years. It brings those real world interviews to full fruition. And it sets up the ultimate passing of the torch. It establishes that yes, Barry was the definitive iconic Flash for this universe. But like I said, don't make any mistake. This is explicitly Wally West's live action origin story. We get to see the chaotic, high energy, teenage Young Justice dynamic between them. We see how a rookie like Wally gets his powers, how he struggles to handle the velocity, and how Barry is right there beside him, teaching him the ropes. We use this prequel space to show that the Flash doesn't live in an isolated bubble. We see a younger Flash and Kid Flash seamlessly crossing paths with the wider DCU. Whether that's having a hilariously unhinged run-in with Peacemaker, teaming up with Green Arrow and Speedy, or executing a tactical mission alongside Batman and Robin. But throughout this entire film, we establish the core emotional shorthand between these two. Out in the field, Barry never calls him Wally. It's always Kid. Kid, look out for this, or Kid, match my stride. Even out of uniform at home, Barry is constantly using it, kind of as like a playful, challenging nickname, poking fun at him almost. Hey kid, you really think you're gonna outrun me today? We know it's short for Kid Flash, sure, but it packs a brotherly love, pushing Wally to his limits. It's a fun, vibrant dynamic. Vibrant? I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop. But within the story, a massive sci-fi mystery begins to unfold when they face a highly coordinated assault from Captain Cold and the Rogues. Their tech all of a sudden is advanced by decades, specifically engineered to counter speedsters. And that's when we realize Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, is in the background pulling the strings. Whether the audience sees his face or just the terrifying blur of red lightning, we find out Thawne is there, actively studying them. He isn't just trying to kill Barry yet. He's analyzing Wally's genetics, measuring Barry's exact speed signature, and meticulously recording their conversations, their banter, and exactly how they interact. While Thawne watches from the dark, Wally is looking at Barry like a god, constantly repeating, "I want to be just like you, Barry. I just want to be exactly like you." And Barry, being that true mentor that he was, keeps pushing back, telling him something like, "Wally, you don't need to be me. You can be better. You're gonna be your own Flash," which leads us to the final scene that will give the audience absolute chills. The climax is over, the Rogues are captured, and movie 2 brings us full circle right to the exact moment movie 1 begins. Wally walks into the West household, smiling and energized. He looks at Iris and says, "Hey, where's Barry?" Iris smiles and says, "Oh, he had to run out for one last crisis." Wally nods and he walks upstairs to his bedroom. He opens his bottom drawer. He reaches in and pulls out the older classic Flash cowl that Barry gave him the day he found out his mentor's secret identity. Wally stares at that mask, thinking about everything Barry has ever told him about being his own hero. He starts to smile, and right as the music swells, we hear a sudden, heavy knock at the front door. Then hard cut to black, roll credits. Now, this is where I gotta say, putting Thawne in the background of the prequel, you can give him an untouchable, looming presence. You show the audience that maybe this monster has been writing the script of Wally's entire life from the very beginning. You don't believe me? I can already tell you a standalone movie for the Reverse Flash where it actually happens. but that's something that you would have to tell me in the comments. Now, movie 3, The Mask Slips. We enter the end game with movie 3. This finale takes place exactly where it needs to hit in the timeline of the wider active DCU. And for this final chapter, we are pulling directly from one of the greatest psychological thrillers in Flash history, The Return of Barry Allen. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest you give it a chance. Now we're gonna open up on a soft, emotional moment. It's the holiday season. Wally, Iris, and a few other classic comic lore characters are decorating the tree, sharing a laugh and fighting back tears as they remember Barry. It's a quiet, beautiful scene until a blinding streak of lightning crashes directly into the backyard. They rush outside and they find Barry Allen unconscious. They hurriedly bring him back to Star Labs, and we get a brilliant first-person point of view shot from Barry's perspective as he opens his eyes slowly. And yes, as a major meta wink to the fans, we have a specific song playing by Lady Gaga playing in the background from the classic TV pilot. The theater is gonna erupt. But right out the gate in Act 1, the red flags are already starting to pop up. When Wally and Iris ask him how he survived the so-called crisis, from what they heard, Barry completely brushes it off with a rehearsed cagey answer. Oh, the crisis, yeah, I just outran it. I don't want to talk about it. As we move into Act 2, the psychological suspense completely takes over. Barry wants to get out there. He wants to be the Flash again. But Wally's the Flash now. So when Wally asks how they're gonna handle two Flashes, Barry forces a smile, adopts that perfect familiar posture, and says, "We can both be the Flash, kid. That shouldn't be a problem." Now I'm gonna remind you, Thawne studied them meticulously. He can drop that nickname perfectly. But even we can see and hear how it all sounds off. Unfortunately, it completely fools Wally at first, driving home the illusion that his mentor is really back. Hardcore fans will feel the unsettling glitch in the Matrix, while casual fans might just feel a creeping sense that something isn't right. As they run saves together, Barry gets hyper competitive. He tries to outrun Wally, outsave Wally, and his methods get abrasive and dangerous. Now here is the brilliant, tragic twist. Central City has grown to love Wally's humanity. They love him as their hero. When they do their saves, people are happy to see Barry, but they've gotten used to Wally's Flash. So they start questioning him like, "Oh, so you're back. Why? Do we even really need you?" Which in turn plays directly into Thawne's psychotic mind. He doesn't start the movie trying to be a villain. He genuinely wanted to be the Flash, to be the celebrated hero. But the city's rejection fills him with a twisted, toxic jealousy. Now, you want to get nuts? Because this is where things get nuts. Thawne completely crashes out when he suspects that Wally is onto him. The act is over. The illusion is shattered. And in a spiteful rage, he decides, "Oh, you don't want me? Well, then you don't get to have a Flash at all." Wally is still actually completely in the dark about this, and thinking his mentor is just having a severe psychological breakdown from the crisis. They both run off, Wally chasing him into the city. We get a heart-pounding, high-speed chase with Wally screaming, "Barry, stop, what are you doing?" Thawne leads him straight into a trap. To test Wally's limits, Thawne phases straight through a massive ice structure left in the city by one of the rogues. Wally, who hasn't mastered phasing yet, is forced to stop dead in his tracks. In that split second of vulnerability, Thawne doubles back in a blur of red lightning, brutally breaks Wally's back, and leaves him temporarily paralyzed before fleeing the scene. As Wally is rushed into Star Labs, Iris bursts through the doors. She holds a devastated Wally as they both realize the ultimate truth. That's not Barry. I don't know how, but that's not our Barry. Now, Thawne knows Speedster's biology. He knows that Wally's super hearing factor is a ticking clock, and that his spine is already knitting itself back together. Knowing that a furious Kid Flash is coming for him, and yeah, he prefers to call him Kid Flash, he panics and springs his final desperate plan. He activates the cosmic treadmill to flood the world with negative Speed Force energy, which could in turn also affect the Speed Force itself from the inside out. Wally, having learned that he has been played, he had to go from having his mentor back, his brother finally getting over the pain of losing him, just to go through all of it again. That anger fueled pure adrenaline, and his speed healing kicked into overdrive. Wally forces himself out of the lab bed, his lightning sparking, maybe for the first time, and as he arrives to the machine, the cosmic energy fractures from the pressure, and a real, weakened Barry Allen breaks through the time stream. And yes, it's really him this time, except he is way too spent to save the day. But he looks at the young man that he helped raise and hands off the mantle, like actually, by looking him into his eyes and ours, and delivers that definitive line of the entire trilogy. "You're the Flash, kid." I'm sorry. I mean, "You're the Flash." That line lands like an absolute sledgehammer now. It's the ultimate cosmic promotion. Barry's explicitly saying, "You're in the driver's seat. This is your world. I'll be your sidekick. Tell me what you need, boss." Wally's finally able to let go of every ounce of doubt. He taps into a brand new gear of speed, completely heals his injuries through pure velocity, and systemically dismantles the Reverse Flash's cosmic treadmill, neutralizing the entire threat. Now here's a crazy twist. We don't need to kill Thawne here. Because he is fueled by the negative speed force, he operates as a living time paradox trapped inside the time stream. What Wally decides to do to him here won't erase him, which the real Barry actually confirms. This would perfectly preserve him as a major threat for a future live-action Legion of Doom project down the line. We stop him, we lock him away somehow. That character stays on the board and is always able to come back. With the city and the speed force saved, the real Barry officially retires, taking that long overdue extended global vacation with Iris, leaving Wally West standing alone as the undisputed definitive Flash of the DCU. And that is how you close a masterpiece of a trilogy. But is that the end? Dun dun dun. Okay, I'm done for real. At the end of the day, this trilogy is about how a live-action Flash can truly thrive inside the massive, lived-in sandbox James Gunn is already building for the DCU. Just look at the playbook DC Studios is already using. Superman isn't just an isolated story. It's giving us Metamorpho, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific right out of the gate. This universe is active, populated, and alive. So if we're mapping out this epic sci-fi driven Flash journey across 3 movies, we need to populate it. I've given you the core blueprint on how the structure of this story should be handled with Barry, Wally, and Thawne. Now I want to hear from you. Following James Gunn's exact world building playbook, which DC hero or obscure villain would you drop into these 3 films to flesh out the wider universe? Do we bring in members of the Titans to back up Wally in movie 1? Do we see an established Green Lantern team up in the movie 2 prequel? Or should he have a specific Justice League member try to intervene during that psychological crisis of movie 3? Drop your ideal hero cameo and villain side quests in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and let's build the universe together. I'm Peter, and I'll see you in the next sandbox.